Most startup founders that I've met, they love their product. The product is everything. They have some understanding or love for the problem that they're solving. Psychology is not their thing. So how do you get them from the love for the products, the building of the MVP, to psychology and understanding the user and actually everything you just talked about? Because it's a huge shift.
Yeah, absolutely. The way I like to talk to startup founders and the marketers or product people on their teams is this is a foundation you can add that makes all of the product decisions, marketing efforts, and your growth as a startup a lot easier. And it feels a lot less frantic and a lot less like you're just chasing the latest thing or copying your competitors. It gives you this understanding of, okay, like now that I can spot these things in my competitors' products in the real world, I can adapt it to actually fit what I'm working on in my startup. So it's like it's kind of like a superpower. Once you put on these X-ray glasses, you can't take them off. And because you do that, then everything, your everyday work gets a lot easier. Your success rate when you take shots on a new product feature or on marketing channel is going to go up. Now, it's not a guarantee. It doesn't make everything 100% because even the best behavioral scientists, they still get it wrong. That's why we experiment and we test things, but it increases your hit rate and it makes it just feel that much easier to spot, okay, I know how to improve this funnel or I know how to improve the user experience, etc. So that's what I would recommend, even if you're not into psychology yet. It's going to give you that leg up and really make it much more likely you succeed.
And then if you go to our audience, the CTO, you
Yeah.
started out as, I would say, well, solo founder slash CTO, actually building. You're now focused almost fully on growth. What would you advise to a startup CTO? Should they get into this? Should they focus on psychology, start learning, or just focus on building the product and let their CEO or chief growth officer or whoever it is focus on the users and the growth?
It really depends how many hats you're wearing. But I've found even the most technical leaders we have, if they have anybody on their team, they have anybody they're managing, then it really does help to understand the psychology because this stuff comes into play with your team and um, the other devs you're managing to the the product people, the CEO, the others that you're going to be dealing with um, on a daily basis, right? So definitely, I think it's useful for you. Um, I also think there's a lot of inspiration in the book. I hope in the stories and the fun adventures that I can tell about being in the trenches as a startup founder, as a technical startup founder. Look, I mean, I studied computer science in engineering. I coded most of my life until this thing really took off. And then I apologize to my devs currently. They know that most of the code there was from me. And so they're still dealing with it. But I found it opens like a new lens into how to be a better manager and how to be a better CTO, CEO, anything within the startup.
Cool. Now let's shift a little bit. Of course, the question everybody wants to know about is AI. I ask almost everyone. And I think one of the things that you've said is that now that everybody has AI, it's almost that the shift comes to who understands people best. How do you see this with the startups that you coach? What's the shift that's happening with them?
Yeah. So I think as AI is making things a lot noisier, so it's making things noisier because obviously we can scale things a lot more. So I think the App Store is overwhelmed right now with reviews and so many AI written apps. Every marketing channel that can be automated is being automated. So with all this extra noise, and it's only going to get noisier. How do we stand out? How do we cut through the noise? And how do we make sure that we are connecting with the people who are we're trying to serve, right? Who are making the purchasing decisions and we need to bring the most value to. And that's where understanding their psychology comes in. Now, AI, you can instruct it to try to use some of this stuff, but it's still going to, just brute force it, and it's going to be guessing a lot more than it is actually reasoning through it and understanding how people think. And so that's why, it's kind of an uncanny valley thing when you hear or see AI trying to be human. And we have an advantage in that um, we can empathize. We can actually empathize and connect with people. So that helps you as a startup founder stand out and create something that has an advantage over somebody who just goes the pure AI route and doesn't understand these fundamentals.